Welcome back, YouTube. It's Jay Roebuck. Last week, it was reported that for the first time in over 30 years, there were no hip hop songs in the Billboard Top 40. It's actually the first time since 1990, which is before I was even born. Now, social media had a big discourse, a large debate. People were firing shots back and forth saying this is what happens as a result of the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, which is the side that I agree with. Then you have others who say numbers don't matter in hip hop. They never have, they never will. Just listen to the music. And that is the point that I'm here to debate today. So I'm going to give you some of my thoughts, of course, based with data and evidence. And this is my thesis. I'm also going to include some clips from some of my previous videos where I actually discussed this long before this report even came out. And then I'll close. And then I would like people to go into the comments and let me know what you think about the reports and give me your point. What do you think? Do numbers matter, or should we never even pay attention to them? The choice is yours. Let's get into it. The first point I'm going to address is representation. When you have numbers that justify what your music is doing, it makes your music more visible to the world, it makes your stories more heard, and it gives it that backing, that concrete thing that we can say, this is a result of what I have created. When you look at the forefathers of hip hop and even the early pioneers, Grandmaster Flash, NWA, Public Enemy, they were telling a story about what was going on in the places that they came from. They were showing the world this is what they were going through. If you want your story to transcend your community, it has to do numbers because that is showing you that other people are hearing it. If you're pointing out injustice like NWA did, you don't only want to alert the people who are going through the same thing as you want to alert the world and say, this is the statement we're making about our struggle. So maybe the song didn't go top 40, but the album sold, and those songs have still been commercially successful 30, 40, 50 years later. But if those songs don't gain that popularity, the stories don't get told, and hip hop never becomes the #1 genre in the world. And for the people who said, these old school hip hop artists were hip hop purists and numbers didn't matter to them. But numbers do matter, and they have mattered. If you listen to KRS, if you listen to Grandmaster Flash, if you listen to Slick Rick, they are all on record talking about how they weren't properly compensated for their early work, that they didn't get the commercial success that they deserved. Meaning they didn't have the numbers to justify how good the work was, and they also weren't paid properly. I mean, listen, KRS-One is on record talking about how he has to tour outside of America because he didn't get the American success that he needed. But if he did have that Billboard charting position, people will continue to revisit the catalog. If you ask a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old, hey, who is KRS-One? They likely don't know because number one, the music hasn't really crept down into the eras as it should have been. Or if they even Google what are the top songs from 1987 or 1988, you're not going to get those hip hop songs because they didn't chart that well. So if you did have that happen, it would increase the visibility of the message. Hip hop purists would have a lot more commercial success if those songs charted highly, which they should have, but they didn't really have the label backing and investment because that didn't really come until the 90s. Numbers matter because it helps get financial backing. Now I'm going to take this to the early hip hop years where hip hop was just getting started and talk about my dad, whose name is in the Hip Hop Museum, which is here in New York in the Bronx. And they talk about him because he is one of the original hip hop promoters. He also helped broker deals between some early hip hop artists and record labels. He was not able to promote hip hop parties and get them into venues in Manhattan because people didn't believe in it because there were no numbers to justify it. Number one, there were no, hip hop songs charting early. Number two, where was the radio play? Number three, how can we guarantee that you're going to sell these tickets and we're going to give you a club on a Friday or Saturday night? Right? That didn't exist yet. So he had to leverage his relationships with Italian club owners all throughout Manhattan to say, I can sell these parties out and I can help broker these deals. And it wound up being successful, right? Grandmaster Flash, a lot of these early DJs worked with my dad to get the original hip hop story out there where MCing first became a thing. But if there were no numbers, if there were no early sales, those deals would never have happened. It just wouldn't happen. And if you don't believe what I'm telling you, I'll insert a clip here from Russell Simmons' book where he cites my dad as being one of the early pioneers and actually one of his first large competitors. Numbers obviously matter to the labels. Again, I'll talk to you about the early hip hop years. Motown did not want to sign hip hop artists. Motown was supposed to be the label of the future, the voice of Black America, but they didn't want to invest in hip hop because the numbers weren't there. Now let's take it to modern day. If you've been paying attention to the landscape, Labels have been absorbing one another, creating larger conglomerates. They're getting rid of all the people who really have knowledge of the hip hop industry and of the streets. Labels are divesting from hip hop artists and from hip hop labels. That is what's going on. So, you as a consumer, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that labels are going to create a better product if they're not investing in people? If they aren't developing talent? Or do you think the product will only get worse and are only going to sign people who make TikTok music? So you can't be celebrating the downfall of this and then in return saying you want hip hop to be in a better place, because that's not what's going to happen. It's just not going to. And for all those people who claim this is exactly what hip hop needed, it needed to be restarted, we needed to go back to the origins, I ask you this question. Every day when I go online on X, Instagram, YouTube, wherever, the comments section is filled. I can see 5,000 comments a day that are celebrating this downfall and saying Drake was never hip hop, get rid of him, or all of these new artists who make trap music or drill music, they aren't any good anyway. We need to get back to the real MCs. This is the biggest year in hip hop. If you truly believe that, why are these people who you support and talk about only selling 3,000 to 5,000 albums? I see more than 5,000 comments a day celebrating it. So why are we not putting our dollars behind the messages that we believe in? If you believe that this is what should be celebrated and this is what we should be talking about, you should justify your point by saying, I celebrate these guys and I can support them financially so that they don't have to go into another career like podcasting. They can maintain and make music. But people don't support that. It's just great online rhetoric. And this leads me to my next point. Why should numbers matter to the average person? And this is a great point. People said, well, if you just want to like good music, just listen to the music. Why do you care about what's on Billboard? And this is how I would respond. It's not so much about what's on Billboard. It's about all the things that come with it. And that is what I'm doing right now. This is the creator economy. When we have numbers, sales, chart positions, it gives everyone something to talk about. Everyone has an opinion when you see, oh, this song went number one, or this guy has 19 number ones, or this person had an amazing year. They had 3 number one singles in a year. It gives us talking points that we can go online and engage about. And that drives the economy for everyone. People who are monetized on every social media platform now have a way to make money because they can talk about popular artists, right? And if they didn't want to talk about popular artists and they only want to talk about hip hop purists, go through their social media, go through their YouTube. How many videos do they make about the artist that they want to champion versus how many videos do they make about the artist who they said is not hip hop, or do they make about artists who don't represent the kind of music that they seem to love the most? How many videos do they make about Future? Do they make about other Atlanta artists who may not be hip hop purists and MCs at heart? Just look at it. So you have to look at who's talking. Are the things that they say justified in the content that they make? I don't think so, because certain names generate more clicks, and that is why numbers matter. That is why Billboard matters, because the creator economy wouldn't be so robust if it weren't for certain people. We can liken it to sports. LeBron James is a megastar. LeBron James was destined to be a billionaire and was going to be who he was regardless of what anyone had to say. But when you woke up in the morning and you watched First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless, sometimes that was more entertaining than the game. People woke up to watch those takes. I remember waking up on Saturday mornings to watch SportsCenter, making sure that I watched Pardon the Interruption to hear what these people had to say about the game. Stephen A. Smith and ESPN are just as valuable to sports as a role player is in the NBA. They are a necessity. We as creators and people who are consumers are important, and the numbers help justify all the things that we have to talk about. I already know what some people are typing. Jay, this is your problem. You only care about numbers. See, you're a Drake fan. Drake fans only care about numbers. I'm a fan of rap music. Rap music has existed long before Kendrick Lamar and Drake. It will exist long after Kendrick Lamar and Drake retire. So it doesn't matter. Numbers are important because it helps the entire genre. It helps everyone. And here's why. Numbers matter because it increases visibility. When rap music is the dominant genre, when rappers are going number one and charting top 10, it pumps dollars into the economy that is rap music. It allows for more collaborations, more brand deals, more investment into the labels that are started by people from communities like you and I. Rappers take care of the hood. They spread the money out. They have a team. They have a marketing team. They have a street team. They have an entourage. When rappers have money, it helps everyone, okay? So I don't just care about what happens with Drake and Kendrick Lamar. I care about what happens with all people. And if you don't believe me, there's a guy who goes by the name of Steve Stout, who is the master marketer, and he wrote a book called The Tanning of America. I'm going to talk about some sections from that book. One of the main ideas expressed in the book is that hip hop is the bridge between the street and corporate America. You see, there's a fine line, there's a bridge that needs to be crossed in order for millions and billions of dollars to be spent. But if hip hop didn't generate revenue for corporate America, they wouldn't care. So let's look at some early examples. You have Jay-Z with the sneaker deals. You have 50 Cent with vitamin water. Deals like that don't happen unless hip hop is a dominant genre. You have Kanye West and Adidas. All of those things laid the groundwork for Travis Scott to have his Nike deal, for other artists to pump out bundles and collaborations with billion-dollar entities. Those things don't exist if hip-hop doesn't have the numbers to substantiate spending. So if you're someone who just wants to hate on a person, you don't realize that that same hate is tearing down the thing that you claim you love: rap music. So if you like rappers at the Super Bowl, if you like rappers to have sneaker deals and brand deals, if you like African American culture to be at the forefront of media, if you like America's biggest export being pop culture, which is black music, you have to embrace rappers, even the ones you don't like. Because as I said before, if you continue to try to tear a certain artist down, especially an artist who is the biggest in the world or the biggest out the genre, it doesn't help you. And that goes vice versa for Drake fans. If you continue to only engage in banter that hates on another person, in the long run, the long-term effect is the entire genre suffers. I mean, look at what's happening this year. We went from a hip hop Super Bowl 2 years in a row, and now we're getting a Latin American artist, which is great. Like, I love Bad Bunny, but if we were more collaborative at the time, do you think that we could have seen another hip hop artist like Travis Scott headline the Super Bowl? It's a possibility. Will we ever get another rap performer at the Super Bowl? This is a legitimate question. And I'm not talking about a historical act. I'm talking about a current rapper. Is it going to happen? That still remains in the air. Now, there are some people who would say that, well, beef is good for the genre, reignited things. And I think that's true to a certain point, because it's like a flash in the pan. It doesn't pan out well for the long term. Biggie and Pac was great for a couple months, and then look at how that turned out. Drake and Kendrick was good for a week, and look at how this is turning out. Then you can look at Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, JT, Bia. That was great for like a day, and then look at what the timeline turned into. The things that people were saying back and forth was some of the most vile things that I've ever read about children. Right? And then look at what it translated to in sales. Has anyone talked about Cardi's B album outside of the disc after the first week and a half? Not really. JT songs aren't on streaming platforms. They didn't chart. So what good did that do? Bia's songs didn't chart. Nicki didn't drop her diss track. And Nicki's album is coming out in March. So we went through hell on the timeline for what purpose? Who did it help? I'm confused. So that's why I say, as we remove ourselves from Drake and Kendrick and now we're getting out of it, there have been, some other beefs popping up. You had Joey Badass versus the entire West Coast. That was cool. But what did it do for Joey in return? The album didn't sell well. The tour was canceled. I'm not sure for what reason, but it was great for a moment. But what did it do for the genre as a whole? I don't really see many positives, but if you do, please let me know in the comments. Now let's look at investment in hip hop. We're going to watch a clip from Elliot Grange, who is actually the son of Lucian Grange, who's the head of UMG. Elliot is rumored to potentially maybe success his father once he steps down, so it's important that we listen to what he has to say because he has expertise in the area. He's the head of Atlantic. He was in charge of 300 for a number of years. So if someone knows about the business of music, it would be him.
A bet against hip hop.
Back in 2020, it had like a 30% market share. Now it's down to 25%. Given you've had such like a long career working with rappers, where do you see the genre going in the next few years?
I think music is very cyclical. There's the ebbs and flows, and we saw an unprecedented boom from 2015, 2016 to 2021 to 2022, that sort of 6-7 year period. Fast forward 12, 18 months, we may see the same with country and Americana.
There are a few important things to note here. The first is that the interviewer said that hip hop used to occupy about 30% of the market, and that's dropped down to 25. And as of today, it's a bit lower, and it's actually about 23%. And that's due to a few of the reasons that I've stated before. Hip hop has a big rift right now. Things are fractured. The next thing, I listened to what Elliot said about the hip hop boom in 2016. Let's go back to that year. What's going on in the industry at that time? Number one, Drake and Apple Music. Drake is going into summer 16. And number two, Kendrick Lamar is also having a monster year. But that year and those, the next 4 to 5 years after that, that was Drake's season. That was really Drake's peak, if you were to ask a lot of people, is during that run. So we saw the boom in the industry, and we also saw how that boom trickled down to other artists. But how does this affect label investment? It's very simple. You invest money where you know money can grow. So if the genre seems to be trending downward, you are going to invest less money. Where's the proof of that concept? What rap superstars do you see emerging in the game right now? There are none, right? Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole, the big three, as they called themselves, or whoever said it in the song. Those are the three guys who are all over the age of 35. We've never seen rap music where people in their mid to upper 30s are dominating the genre because there's no investment in the youth. Maybe there's a lack of talent, maybe there's a lack of substance, but there are people up there who can take the reins. But because labels don't want to invest, because, it's really 1 to 2 artists who keep a whole label afloat. Most artists are net negatives, and certain artists can carry an entire label, right? We've already seen it with QC. Little Baby was carrying the label. Young Thug said it himself. Because most artists do not generate great profits. The profits are from 1 to 2 people who can carry it for everyone, and that remains true for the genre. There are 3 to 4 megastars who carry it for everyone, and everyone else can pick up from their trails. So why would a label continue to invest money if hip-hop is trending downward? Why would a label invest money in rap when they can invest in other genres who are trending upwards, like Latin music, like even Spanish rap, or even pop music? It just doesn't make business sense. So those are my thoughts. Numbers matter. Numbers will always matter because you need money to generate good music. You need money to promote music. And one of the main ways that you can get access to that capital is having the numbers to back it. As consumers, sometimes we lose sight of the big picture, but on this channel, I like to talk about music and the business of music because you really can't analyze one without the other. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I wrong here? Am I right here? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Until next time, I go by the name J. Roebuck. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let's continue to grow the channel.